In the year 2361, humanity had reached the stars. Interstellar travel became commonplace, and with it came encounters with species from worlds unimaginably far away. The Earth's brightest minds could scarcely prepare for what awaited them. Amid the infinite void, among the stars and silent galaxies, love was an unknown force in many corners of the universe. Captain Elias Vance had been stationed on board the Solstice, a cargo freighter moving supplies between outposts in the Andromeda sector. The Solstice was a small, inconspicuous ship by most standards, dwarfed by the sprawling metropolis of human and alien civilizations. On a routine mission, Vance's ship received a distress call from a neighboring star system, a signal of unknown origin. Following protocol, they set course to investigate. The signal led them to a small, desolate moon orbiting an unremarkable planet, shrouded in toxic gases. As the crew descended, they found ruins of an ancient city, its towering structures crumbling with age and neglect. Amid the debris, a faint energy signature pulsed. That's when they found her. In the heart of the ruins lay a creature unlike anything Vance or his crew had ever seen. She was humanoid but utterly alien in appearance. Her skin shimmered with a silvery hue, translucent veins of blue light pulsating beneath her flesh. Her eyes were large and black, filled with starlight and sorrow, as if she had seen millennia pass in the blink of an eye. They brought her aboard the Solstice, carefully examining her in their med bay. She was weak but alive. Scans indicated she was no ordinary creature. Her biology was a strange amalgamation of organic and crystalline elements, her body more ethereal than solid. And most peculiar of all, her mind emitted energy unlike anything the crew had encountered, a raw emotional force that radiated sadness, loneliness, and longing. Captain Vance stayed by her side as the days passed, trying to understand her, speaking softly even though he wasn't sure if she could comprehend. He could feel her pain. Something about her presence reached deep into him. Her body, though frail, housed a powerful intelligence, something ancient and wise, yet broken. She had no name that he could discern, but to the crew, she became known as Lyra. Days turned into weeks as Lyra slowly regained strength. Her body adapted to the ship's atmosphere, and she began to communicate, first in gestures, then eventually through a crude, telepathic link that connected her mind with Vance's. Her thoughts were fragmented, scattered images and emotions flashing in his mind like shards of glass. One evening, Vance sat beside her in the medbay, watching as her silvery skin seemed to ripple in the soft glow of the ship's lights. "Who are you?" he asked softly, not expecting a coherent answer. "Where did you come from?" Lyra's eyes flickered open, and for the first time, she spoke, not in words, but in a wave of emotions that flooded his mind. Isolation, abandonment, eons of silence, drifting among the stars, a being without a home, without a purpose. "I was left behind," her voice echoed in his mind, a haunting melody of thoughts. Vance's heart ached. He couldn't imagine the loneliness she must have endured, existing for so long without companionship, without love. "Why?" he asked, though the question felt hollow. "They feared me. What I am," she conveyed, her emotions a swirl of sorrow and resignation. "I was not like them. I could feel too much." Her people, it seemed, were a highly advanced race that had transcended physical form, existing in a state of pure logic and intellect. Emotions were seen as primitive, dangerous even, and those who showed signs of emotional capacity were cast out, left to wander the cosmos alone. Lyra had been one of those exiled. Captain Vance had always been a man of action, not of deep sentiment, but something in Lyra touched him in a way nothing else had. He couldn't explain it, but he felt a profound need to protect her, to show her the compassion she had been denied for so long. One night, as they neared their destination, Vance found himself alone in the med bay with her again. Lyra was sitting up now, her strength returning, though her sadness lingered. He reached out, gently touching her crystalline hand. She flinched at first, unfamiliar with the sensation, but then her large, dark eyes met his. Her mind opened to him fully, then, a flood of emotions pouring into him. Fear, hope, confusion, a yearning so deep it nearly overwhelmed him. She had never known what it was to be loved. In her culture, love was a myth, a weakness to be purged. And in that moment, as their minds intertwined, Vance understood. He had lost people before, friends, comrades, but this was different. Lyra wasn't just another life to save. She was something more. She was someone who had been abandoned, cast aside by a civilization that couldn't understand her. "I'm here," Vance whispered, though no words were needed. Her body trembled as she leaned into him. And for the first time since they'd found her, a tear slipped from her dark, starlit eyes. Her kind didn't cry. Not until now. "You care for me?" she asked, the concept foreign and fragile in her thoughts. Vance pulled her close, her cold, shimmering form resting against his chest. "Yes," he said simply. "I care." In his arms, she wept. She wept for the eons of loneliness she had endured. She wept for the love she had never known. And she wept because, for the first time in her life, someone cared. The crew of the Solstice watched in silence as their captain cradled the alien woman, who had once been a mystery but was now something far more intimate. A soul that had finally found love after a lifetime of emptiness. And in that fragile moment, Lyra learned what it meant to be loved. For Captain Vance, it was the beginning of something extraordinary, a connection that transcended species, space, and time.